Hello, I am the Woodwardian 1, and this is episode 3 of Woody's Updating World. In this episode, I shall be exploring the Alpha biomes and completing the tunnels in the Nether Hub. And this will close the Alpha area, or at least Alpha section of this series. As after this, there is actually no more content to explore for that area, and the next episode will be updating to a couple of beta versions and also scouting out a new location for a new base. And I'll actually disclose what I'm doing in that new base in that episode. As you can see, I'm in Alpha 1.2.6, and that is to ensure that when I go to the new Alpha biomes, there is the ability to spawn water and lava pools. Other than that, there's not really much to do. I need to collect the jack-o'-lanterns and the carved pumpkins, and that's kind of it. Like, that really is it. The rest of what I'm doing in this episode will just be like like just finishing a few bits off. There's a few changes I want to make to the land, but other than that, I think that's it. I'm not going to set off until it's fully daylight. It's just turned night, so I'm going to go back in my house. As you can see, I've prepared my inventory for everything I think I may need. I've got doors and torches for making little holes in the walls during the night, because I'm not messing about walking through it during the night time. I've got a sword just in case some mobs have stuck around under trees and stuff that I might have to kill. I've got an axe for collecting the jack-o'-lanterns or the carved pumpkins. I've got portals because, as I mentioned in the last episode, I want to make portals to the tundra biome and the desert biome, provided that I find large enough ones of both of them, because I want to have easy access to snow and sand when I move to the beta area. Because the beta area isn't going to be completely separate from this alpha area. It's going to be part of the Nether Hub as well. I'm going to make a massive room for that as well. Maybe not to the scale of the Alpha Nether Hub. I have 10 signs here, and that is for the purpose of actually labelling every biome. And anyone who knows me watching this will probably find that hilarious, because I actually own a label maker in real life, and that's kind of a gimmick of mine. Yeah, and I'm going to label them, and when I come back to them in beta 1.8, I'll be able to see what biome they've changed into, and also be able to tell, or rather say that. And by doing this, I'll be able to tell what biome was there, because after that I'll never see those biomes again until at least 1.7 for the savannas. However, it's not really like something you can distinguish, because a lot of the biomes are similar. Like, I have an entire notebook next to me of like all 10 biomes. Like, some are more obvious than others. Like, snow and ice will be in a tundra, obviously, and sand in a desert. But like stuff like plains, shrubland, swampland, that's going to be entirely dependent on my ability to see the grass colour. I will probably mislabel some things, so do correct me after the episode is released. I also have some wheat here for food and stuff. Torch material, bow and arrows, water bucket. Just the usuals that I carry on me. Just one final thing before I set off, because I'll cut to when it's daytime and in the boat, and I'll just speed up travelling to the new chunks. Yeah, I don't have my skin on. It's not working for some reason when I'm recording this. It will probably be fixed tomorrow when I reload the PC again, but I don't really know what to do about that. So when the sun rises, I'm going to go over there to the boat docks and take a boat out roughly diagonally, maybe slightly to the left. I don't exactly know where to go in terms of like loading new biomes, because I tried to load an overview map in between episodes. That didn't go too well. It kept giving me like errors in the command lines. So I'm just going in blind, I think. But it should be fun. It should actually be fun that way. So I'll just cut back into a sped up montage, and I'll probably slow it down when I get to the chunk border. Right, I believe I've found it. This seems to be pretty sharp into what seems like a fairly oceany area, but ocean biomes don't exist. I guess that's just a factor of world generation. I'm just going to manoeuvre slightly to the left here because I see some snow up here. I don't know if that's going to be a swampland or not. I'm going to get my signs out though, just for labelling purposes. I've loaded these chunks in a very weird way. Like, it's not really straight or consistent along here. But I am just going to quickly go through here, dive into the water, and this is officially the beginning of my exploration of the new areas. I'm very tempted to say that this is swamp, but I don't think it is, because there's too much snow in the general area. Ah, hang on. Okay, I've passed by there at some point and just not loaded this in. It's way too foresty up here, and however, I'm not exactly sure what the notes say. All I know is swampland has occasional patches of snow. I'm guessing that can sit on trees as well. I'm not sure. Given that I'm on the chunk border, I'm going to go a bit further this way because I know there's a biome this way. However, before I do that, I am going to like hunker down in a little hole in the wall until the night's over. And okay, the sun is rising and the mobs are starting to burn. I'm a bit concerned about the creepers. In fact, I think they're the only concern I have at the minute because the spiders are going to be neutralised. Now, I'm guessing what I'm actually heading into is a tundra biome. But I'm not entirely sure because I'm not sure how large the snow, like the occasional snow patches listed as a swampland is supposed to be. So I'll just go over the hill and take a look. If not, I'm going to assume that this is a swamp. Yes, this does extend quite far. I think this will be a tundra biome. So I'm going to just go back here and make a sign saying swampland. The grass seems to be an indicator of that. So just quick sign here. Alpha 1.2.6 swampland. I'm not going to make note of the coordinates, sorry, because that's not really worth the paper. I'll just walk over and continue exploring the biomes as I find them. I'll check them off on my little piece of paper next to me. So, swampland here. Ticked off. Okay, this is a massive biome. I'm definitely plonking a portal in the middle of here. Don't really have a good way down here. Yeah, I'm glad to have found this. It's quite large, so I'm gonna put a sign down here. Actually, no, I'll put it facing this way. Alpha 1.2.6. This is just gonna be a formality. I'm gonna write the version on each sign. For this one, I'm also going to take my obsidian and flint and steel here and just break out a few snow. I'm just going to do what I do in my main survival world and just place a few torches here and here. I'm going to take the coordinates of this because this will be important for the Nether Hub. And once I've done that, I'll carry on with my journey. I think I am just going to hazard a guess here that this is a taiga biome. It's got a good few trees around here. It's got, obviously, the snow. Yeah, I don't have a problem with calling this a taiga biome. I'm going to check this off as well. Just put a sign in here. I have to break the snow, it's annoying. also just going to add torches surrounding this, just so that it'll be more obvious when I come back here one day. Right, I'm going to have to hunker down for the night, but somehow it's still loading more taiga. No, sorry, tundra. And I say taiga because there's one over there as well. Where my main issue lies is the characteristics of different biomes. Because sometimes the grass colour is also a bit off. However, the difference between a forest and a seasonal forest is the density of the canopy, apparently. So, I need to keep an eye out for how you define a dense canopy. I'm trying to determine what a rainforest is as well, because it's characterized by a higher amount of, or a higher chance of, like, big trees spawning, and right here there is a good few. So I'm willing to bet that this is possibly a rainforest. However, I'm going to keep going because I'm not entirely sure. If I'm certain enough, I will label the biome, but if not, I'll just keep moving on. However, I'd say this area is actually pretty dense, like, in terms of the canopies. Like, there is not much space. Maybe in this area. There might be a bit of a crossover between forest and seasonal forest here. However, I am willing to say that the area I'm standing in now is a forest. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm just going to note this as a forest. 1.2.6 forest. Unfortunately, there's no way to tell other than yous maybe correcting me if you're watching, so if you think I've done one wrong, you can leave a comment. I'm not going to come out and change it because this is really far away, but at least I'll know in the future, because there's several more versions, like, throughout beta where all of these biomes will still exist. So it's just a matter of being able to identify them. Oh, hang on. I found something. I found something I need. See, it's very difficult because I'm assuming it's also on a somewhat of a slope, like, in terms of biomes. Like, if this is a forest, I can imagine, and it's near a cold area, I can imagine that this is either a savanna or a shrubland. It's very difficult to tell. This could very well be a shrubland. It looks the right colour. It doesn't look like yellowy enough to be a savanna. However, it could also be a plains biome. However, considering it's surrounded quite closely by cold biomes, I'm willing to say it goes tundra, swampland, shrubland. So I'm going to come down here and actually just decide that that is what it is. Okay, so I'm on this relatively flat area, That seems a bit yellowy, and this seems quite a bit greener. And considering it's not, as far as I know, directly near any cold biomes, because all the cold biomes are around there, I'm willing to say that I'm in a savanna slash plains area, because one is a kind of a variant of the other, just with a different grass colour. So I'm gonna denote this as a savanna. You see, I'm looking at this from a too modern perspective, because I only know the colours of the current savanna, so I'm getting a bit confused when I'm doing this. Do you spell that with an A? I don't know. Changes every time I see the word. Yeah, I'm willing to say that that's definitely a savanna over there, and that this is a plains. Like, it's flat, occasional tree. I don't think I can really give this to shrubland, because I mean, it's cold. It looks colder, but it's also not cold. So Alpha. Sorry for my terrible typing. Also, you notice I'm just killing sheep passively. I need them for the Nether Hub tunnels. But I am going to start gradually moving inwards as well. And I'm going to be looking for different... Like, I feel like the next few biomes, the grass colour is going to be quite distinct. However, a seasonal forest is very similar to a forest, as I think I've mentioned, just with a lower canopy density, so I need to keep an eye out for like how to interpret that. Okay, so two things. I'll start over here actually. I mentioned at the start of the video that in this update they added random water and lava pools, and this seems to be one. However, it's interesting that in Alpha, like, it's generated looking like this. I don't think I've ever seen one this like open, like open to the surface or open to the air. Usually they're surrounded by stone blocks. I guess in older versions they aren't. I'm not entirely sure, so... But I'm glad to have found one of these. Like, I'll come back to this area one day and be able to say that this is the first. I'm not going to put a sign here because I'm not exactly sure about how flammable signs are, so not really willing to test that. And the second thing... This is quite a few big oak trees. And that is usually synonymous with a rainforest biome. The grass colour certainly seems to agree. I'm up here, and in this area, as you can see, a lot of giant ones, so I'm gonna note this as the rainforest. I could be horrifically wrong and this is just a regular forest, but this is a lot of big oak trees. Like one there, one there, one there, one there. This one here. All these over here. So, to place this in here. Alpha 6. Rainforest. Along with the accompanying torches. Okay, I'm back, and it's morning. And I've decided, looking down on this area, that this is clearly a seasonal forest, or at least I hope it is, because when I'm looking at my notes, it says lower canopy or less dense canopy. Yeah, this is definitely a lot more dense than the stuff over there. So I'm just going to place down this sign and have it be Alpha. Sorry. 1.2.6 seasonal some torches around here. I'm going to try and remember to do that for all the biomes, but obviously not perfect. But I have one more sign, one more biome left, and I'm going to start curving in a little bit to get closer to 0, 0, or rather close to 0 on that axis. So I'm going to search for a desert. This seems to be a desert indicated by both a lava pool. Well, that's not necessarily a feature of the biome, but nice to see, I guess. Nice to see another one. And this cactus, because that's pretty much the primary indicator. However, this is kind of a small desert. I will label it, but I want to find another one on the way back home, so I'm going to try and go decently inwards when I go back home, down around the other axis, but the primary mission is to get back home and find a large enough desert, because this is quite small. So I've found a desert that I consider large enough to harvest sand from, so I'm just going to build a portal here, get the coordinates, and then I'm just going to come back to when I'm home, because I have a long journey there and I'm not putting up a montage over that because it's really not worth it. So see you in like 3,000 blocks that way. Right, I'm back, and there's several things I'd like to discuss. First of all, my skin's different, as you can tell. It's been changed so that it no longer has the outer layer, which I can't change in the older versions. But this is how I normally look whenever I play modern Minecraft. You know, just a classic creeper t-shirt with some jeans. Secondly, the time difference between one clip in that little biome adventure and another clip was probably about 2 weeks, because I got a bit busy. I started playing a realm with some of my friends on Bedrock Edition, and we were basically playing that every night, so I didn't really get much time to do that. Thirdly, on the way back, I did find a massive desert, much larger than the one I found in the initial clip where I placed a portal. I made a portal there too. However, I found out that it continued at least 200 blocks closer to my house, so I'm going to make the coordinates link up in the nether and build a portal there, and then I'm going to have to shift it slightly, so that'll be annoying, but thank God I've got diamonds for that. Fourth, in the last episode I mentioned that I tried to use Overviewer and it just didn't work. Well, yeah, turns out I was using the wrong thing. I learned in a Discord server that apparently I want to be using MC Map, and when I tried that, it was a pain in the arse. For some reason, despite being labelled as a command line program, it has an easily usable interface, which just requires me to select a world file. So I thought my problem was solved until I tried to use it, and then it kept telling me that my own world file, despite me having checked it multiple times and it containing everything that a world file needs, just isn't a world save file for some reason, so I'm guessing it's something to do with the version or the fact that it's beta craft that I'm trying to use. But I think that's something I'm going to have to put on a permanent hiatus for a while. And finally, just a quick notice, the last bit of this episode will be me finishing the nether tunnels, and that's the final thing I have to do in alpha. The next episode will be moving to beta and location scouting for beta 1.2. Now, unfortunately, that's going to take a while, so this episode will probably come out a month after the last one. Again, sorry, I said this in the last one as well, but things keep getting in the way. I'll just quickly show you something I have prepared. Right here, it's a stack of TNT, which I got mainly just by walking around here, back over there, where I actually found a zombie spawner over there. I'm not going to walk over there because that will take a while, but it was just very close to the surface, and when I started digging it out, and tried to let light in, for some reason zombies still spawn, so that was not fun at all. And as you can see, I've been passively collecting wool. If you noticed on that biome adventure as well, then yeah, I just passively collect it. I've got no glowstone anymore. But this is pretty much what I'm going to use for the rest of it. Like for the rest of the nether tunnels. I don't think it's going to be enough, but we'll see, I guess. Everything else I should be fairly stocked up on, so I'm just going to cut back to when I've done that, because I also have to make portals to the other areas, and see when I've done that. And just like that, I've finished all of the tunnels in all 4 directions. Same standard design as the main room. It's got the slabs here and one under here, lava flowing back behind glass with some stone, and then logs to divide each section. And then in the corners here, since I can't really do this design since the logs would set on fire, I've farmed glowstone and put some fences above it, like in front of it, sorry, just to make it look a lot better. And then, as you can see, at the end of each tunnel there is a portal, and the block above it represents what the purpose of the portal is. So let's quickly go through here. We come out into a massive desert. You see, like, quite expansive over that way. Quite expansive over that way too. Now, the completion of these tunnels actually marks the completion of Alpha as well. I don't want to do any more work on that. I did some little, like, details, like some fencing around the tunnel, like, doorways. But other than that, that's it. There's just one more thing to do, and that is the completion of this chest. I now have the snow here, as well as the carved pumpkin and the jack-o'-lantern, which are identical in texture in this version. So that marks the end completely. Now, this will have taken a month to come out, so if you've enjoyed, thank you for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, comment, anything. But between episodes, I'm going to do a bit of cleanup of these chests here, and also just a bit of general tidying up around the area. But the next one should be out quite soon. Well, goodbye.